Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be covering 5 projects we can add to the resume to give it that boost. So whether you're just starting out in your career in Infosec or level up your career, this is the place to do it. We're going to be covering the top 5 projects that I can think of to give you a boost. So grab a chair, grab a pen, grab a drink, stay tuned. Let's get started. All right, so the first one is CTFs. Now, this may or may not sound like a project to you, but to me, I like seeing this on resumes, especially if you place. If you're a top placer in a CTF, that speaks volumes about who you are because you just don't walk into your first CTF and place high, even if it is at your local B-sides. These take a lot of skill, a lot of breadth of knowledge to do really well in. So whenever you see an opportunity to jump into CTF, I highly advise it. And this is from my own personal experience. I used to do them all the time. Now I don't have the time, but I will tell you, I have learned so much just competing in these because it forces you to take your knowledge and crank it up, get creative with it to solve these problems because most of the time they're not easy. Maybe the beginner ones are, but once you start getting to that medium and hard difficulty, that's where it starts taking a lot of skill, a lot of mastery of your knowledge to actually do it. So this shows just that on your resume. If I see that you place second or place first, then that gives me something to talk to you about. Hey, tell me about the CTF that you place first in or second in. Tell me the types of skills or problems you had to solve to get there. So a great thing to add to your resume. Now you may be wondering, where do you go to find CTFs? Well, connect with your community on social networking sites, especially LinkedIn. There are some pretty common ones here I have on my list. You have Pico CTF that runs all year. Hack the Box has a lot. They have random CTFs pop up throughout the year. Try Hack Me. And ctftime.org also has a ton there. So find a team or do it yourself, but work on some CTFs, add them to your resume. This is a sure way to not only get better, but to make your resume look better as well. All right, on to number 2. Build your own cybersecurity tools. So this is a really cool and obvious one, and you may be asking, well, what tool should I build? And that is completely up to you. As you're studying, as you work through certifications and materials, you will think of ways to improve your workflow. These are tools you could build. Or you're just see something, there's like a nice little niche where there could be a tool to fill, build that tool. So let me give you an example. This sounds so abstract, I know. Example, when I was working on my OSCP, one of the tools I built was a tool to do all the initial enumeration I needed to do for my certification. Now, this is very important because it's a time-sensitive exam. You have 24 hours to take over several boxes, several hosts, several computers on the network. And enumeration can take quite some time when done properly. So I wrote a tool to do this, and it took about 45 minutes to complete what it was doing, which was perfect because it lined up well with one of the other challenges, which was to do a buffer overflow, which took 45 minutes to an hour to do. So that lined up perfectly with what I needed. I needed something to be working in the background while I was doing work to save an hour of time because time is of the essence. So that's a good example. But since then, I have built all kind of tools to help me in my everyday life at work, doing defensive stuff. I've built tools in the offensive world. So it just depends. Whatever you think would make your life better, that is the best inspiration you can have for a tool. One, it'll make you really excited to do it. Two, it's something very interesting to you. Three, it's something you'll be able to explain really well to future employers. Now, the next big thing here that you want to do with this tool is put it up on GitHub. You are most likely not going to be selling this tool that you wrote, so just drop it on GitHub, link it in your resume and say, hey, this is the tool I wrote. With that, you might want to take some time to give it some love, build it out just a little bit, write a good README so people know what they're seeing when they go into it. Give it a little bit of love, but feel free to link it. All right. Your third project you can do is any type of fairly complex web application. application. It's something you can actually show, they can utilize and get the feel for the type of effort you put into it. So very cool. Anytime you can build something someone else can interact with, that's a future employer, that's really cool. The other thing you could do with this is you could build it as a training lab. So if you're really interested in the web exploitations, you can use this as a laboratory. And what I mean by that is you can introduce vulnerabilities, fix those vulnerabilities, track those somewhere, maybe even blog about it. And this is going to help you, one, help you get better at building web applications, two, help you identify attacks in web applications, which is a really rare skill to find, especially in defensive people. If you're in the offensive world, you're attacking these things, and so that's a specialty in its own right. So there's a lot of really good stuff that comes here, and again, if you can give it to someone to interact with, boom, bonus points. Not only did you tell them you did this thing, but you are saying, go forth and play and see all my hard work. All right. Now, something I want to point out too here with a lot of these things, as you're designing them, as you're building them, think about blogging your journey. Now, some people may think blogging about your journey sucks because it shows future employers how terrible you are. Well, the good news is everyone in the beginning stages are terrible at cybersecurity. So you're not showing them anything they don't already know. But what you are showing them is that you're taking the effort to learn, and you're showing them all these different things you're learning along the way. So consider that as an option, because that'll play into this other one that we have here, which is malware analysis. So malware analysis is a really tough skill. It requires a ton of understanding in cybersecurity, so code flow, types of attacks, various tools. It's very complex, very difficult, and not a ton of people can do it. Now, blogging comes into this one because you could blog your analysis, right? Take some major thing out there, like some sort of new ransomware or any type of thing, like a new download or just some new tool an adversary is using, and you analyze that, then you throw it up on the internet in your blog, and you can show people your level of understanding and expertise. It is a no-brainer. This is a really cool one to do if you gravitate towards malware analysis. It's not for everyone. This can kind of suck if you don't like it, but if you do, it's a great win for your resume, great win for your knowledge as well. So think about it. All right, the final thing, which kind of goes in line with a lot of these other ones which involve coding, is open source project contributions. So earlier I spoke about building a tool, but what about giving back to an existing tool? Well, there are tons of projects out there that we all know and love in the Infosec community. So if you can give back to that community and throw it on your resume, that is a huge win for you, because not a ton of people do this. I think I've only seen this once on somebody's resume, and it was a great conversation starter for their interview. So think about this. So let's talk about some projects you can get into. Things I use on a regular basis with pen testing could be things like Nmap. Nmap is cool because there are a bunch of NSE scripts, that's what they call it, to do additional tests. So you can contribute by creating additional scripts or additional functionality for Nmap. Metasploit also. Metasploit has tons of additional modules in there that you could utilize. So converting a POC, so a proof of concept code on the internet, into a Metasploit module would be very welcomed in the community. These are things in the offensive world that would be very helpful. Or there's lots of tools in the defensive world. For instance, a well-known person in the defensive world, Eric Zimmerman, has tons of forensic tools. You could take and add additional code to those perhaps, or some other tools similar to that who haven't had any new development, or those that are being actively developed. So pick a project that speaks to you and look at contributing and making that tool a little bit better while making your resume also look better. All right, so that is all 5 of them. Remember, it's not what you know, it's what you can do. Practical experience is going to win out on the resume every time, and we talked about 5 things today that you can do to spruce up the resume, make it more attractive to future employers. So get out there, learn some stuff, build some stuff, contribute to the community. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And if you took my advice, went out there and built a project, please do let us know in the comments below. I'm sure we would all love to hear more examples of what can help people stand out in their next interview. Thanks so much for watching the video. Stay curious out there, keep growing, and we'll see you next time.